So if you please start by, it's a special class because it's the end of 12 weeks of an intensive, beautiful investigation into your deepest heart and what can turn on Buddhahood. So if you can, whatever aspects of the Bodhisattva Charyavatara you've got in your minds, wherever you've learned them, condense them all here in the 2 hours we're spending together. So the karma for that can be deeply impactful in the entirety of your mind. So to do that, check your motivation for coming and escalate it. You know, whatever the motivation is, whether it's your birthday, or whether you just got married, or whether you just concluded 15 years of an awesome yoga studio in Williamsburg, or whether you just did asana, or whether you just have bruises from not fighting. Whatever got you here, go deeper. Yeah, and see if you can offer that to other people through what you learn, and then eventually from what you become because of these things, because that's what they're for. So to do that,
Sashi
let's start with a nice meditation. If you take a comfortably seated position, the idea here is you park your body. Your spine is straight, as if something's pulling up from the crown of your head, suspended in a perfect balance of upward motion and downward motion. And just begin by scanning the room, the sensations, the sounds, the smells. Your awareness of who you are in the room, your body, and gradually bring your mind to the sensation of the breath entering and exiting your nostrils, however you focus on your breath. Release any tension. So we'll do that for a few rounds of breath. See if you can press your mind a little deeper into the breath, and this is not a kind of effort but a kind of relaxation where the peripheral sensations and everything else sort of fades into the background, and they still exist, but your focus just becomes the breath until there's nothing but you and the breath. You are, in fact, the awareness of the breath. Now that you have nice sharpness of mind, see if you can direct your awareness to your motivation again. However deep you can go to find the impulse that gets you to continue studying these ideas. What's the impulse? Where does it come from? What's the intention? Whatever it is for you, see if you can expand it by imagining the result of that intention producing happiness not just in you but in everyone else you conceive of. Once you have that sensation clear, your intention clear, see if you can bring in front of you a teacher in the most perfect way you can imagine them. Understanding they are the collection of every virtue you have, manifesting every experience you have with them. By recognizing this, you continue that interaction and deepen it. So make them some kind of beautiful offering for being connected with you and igniting realizations in you. From the depth of your heart, find the deepest gratitude you have for them. Also find any blockages or obstructions you have from experiencing yourself and them in a perfect way, free of any doubt or suffering. And imagine those obstacles removed because you understand how they got there, and you can do things to remove them. See if you can find a wish to remove every obstacle that prevents you from uniting perfectly with the wisdom and compassion the teachers in front of you represent. Imagine that obstacle, those obstacles completely gone. What would that union feel like? And then recognize every magnificent goodness you have to encounter teachers and teachings, effort and willingness, and all the magnificence that you embody in your practice and efforts towards practice, the want to practice. If everything is caused, feel a deep sense of joy for having this miraculous capacity. It's nothing short of a miracle. See if you can expand that sensation to include the people that travel the path with you, your friends in the Sangha, your community, the people in the room, to have beings around you with the same impulse. See if you can find a deep joy for them too, for their goodness. Then see if you can ask your teacher to please keep teaching you that every movement of your mind could be a deep, insightful realization. Everything without exception, ask them, please, to teach you and to stay always close. And feel their acceptance by watching them rise and turn to face the same direction you're facing, getting smaller and brighter until they rest in protection just above the crown of your head, always available to you. Smaller until they're the size of a thumb maybe. And see if you can spend a minute or so feeling the power of having them just above the crown of your head, almost touching. ready, you can slowly bring your sensation back to the room. You can open your eyes. Okay, so who was here last week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you were not here last week, you have an opportunity. Maybe just one opportunity to do a final exam. Maybe 2 opportunities. 3 opportunities. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Would anyone like a final? Because I'm going through the questions. Yeah. 1, 2.
I'm gonna pass them.
Yeah, there's one there. There's another one here. And there's a part of one here. Let me see if I can find the other part. Class A, quiz. I do not. But we can. Yeah, it's just 2. And you can share them and put both your names.
Do you want one? Pete?
Sure.
Do you want one? Yes, please. Thank you. I'll just give this one.
Oh, that's it, that one. Yeah.
Am I?
So last class, just so you know where you are, we have concluded 11 courses in a 5-year program. This last course was 12 weeks of the middle section of a book called the Bodhisattva Avatar. We did a 12-week course prior to this one, which was the beginning of that magnificent book about how to turn your life into an experience of that of a saint, yeah, or thereabouts. To be able to walk around the planet, this very same planet you call normal, and experience a life that is beyond normal, extraordinary. Yeah. So we did the beginning of that book last course. This course is the middle of the book. 3 chapters we did of that book. The chapters on patience, the chapter on joyful effort, and the chapter on concentration. Yeah. So I didn't want us to leave the course without having internalized something deeply, at least one thing, yeah, out of those magnificent, deep, strong languaged instruction on how to turn your life, how to grab hold of a life that seems to be moving forward, and you decide where it goes. So last week we actually spent a lot of time, more than the average time, everybody in the room sharing their insights into what they take away from this book so far, and what they can internalize and what they can practice as a reality in their everyday. And it was actually beautiful to hear people's insights and experience. And then we started going through the final exams questions, not for you got a tick and you succeeded or you failed or anything, but just another method to internalize these strong, profound, broad ideas. And I think we, out of 28 questions or 26 questions, we got up to 10 or something. So today I intend to go through the rest with you. And the way it will go, David, you still have the readings? Okay, I think we're up to reading 17. Is that what we were? I'll check. Yeah?
Yes.
So the way this goes is, for those of you who have taken part of the course or done the course before or not, I invite you, I'm going to ask you the questions and test for yourself what comes to mind. How do you think that answer would come? Some of them are technical about the book, very few of them, and you can turn them off now. Yeah.
Maybe a little on
Yeah, sure. And then the rest are about practice, like the essence of these texts. Any questions about last week or anything like that? No? So just like I said at the beginning, keep your motivation clear about this information, and then you see if you can add to that a really happy, joyful experience for Rachel's birthday. And in the break, we're going to eat lots of sugar. And then a really beautiful vegan sugar, yeah. And then also how beautiful it was to be at Javier's wedding, yeah, who just completely united in the most beautiful way to his now wife, yeah. And it was very similar to your wedding. It was actually a magnificent feeling, yeah, to be there. So congratulations. It's nice to have you. Okay, so we were up to, let's recap, right? So I think we're up to question 8. So question 8 was, Master Shantideva, the author of this text, 700 AD in ancient India, a place called Nalanda University, where it was the Alexandria of the day. Eastern philosophers from around the world would go there. And then this teaching came from that place. In the chapter still on patience, yeah? Patience is the first of the 3 we did. What's the bottom line of what he says patience is? Because patience doesn't mean waiting for the bus. Yeah. So what's the bottom line when you hear patience from now on? What should you be thinking?
Don't get angry when it makes sense for you to get angry.
Yeah. And yeah. when it's normal in an unexamined world, when your impulses tell you to get angry, whatever it is, don't get angry. Yeah? And it will feel counterintuitive. But therein lies the practice. Therein lies the reason the result is opposite to the normal everyday result, because you're doing something opposite. Yeah? So the essence of this whole chapter is, and he has gone through every kind of explanation as to why it makes 0 sense for anger to arise. Yeah, and we began by saying anger just destroys, completely destroys any goodness that you're capable of having, both in the moment and in the long run. A lot of goodness is burnt away by moments of anger. You understand that, you put that into practice, you turn that into a habit, and all of a sudden you're protecting goodness. And that goodness is not goodness because someone said it's goodness or whatever, it's because it produces the goodness in your world. Anything from the sensation of touch that is pleasurable, to the scent of something that's pleasurable, to the experience, to hearing, to everything that's pleasurable is produced by your goodness.
I just have a quick question. When they say it destroys, all the goodness you've...
Thousands of eons of good karma, it says.
Yeah.
We read that in the last thing. Yeah. If it's directed to a bodhisattva.
If it's directly to a bodhisattva. And I'm wondering, I don't know if this is relevant, but is it that it actually destroys the seeds that have been planted, or it creates the seeds for future habituation?
Cuts you off from that storehouse of virtue.
Got it. Okay.
Now there's a debate when you reconnect.
Yeah.
We don't have time to go into it practically, right? But there is a practical way why having an experience of anger, actually I'll cover it just slightly, okay? You're in a relationship. Your relationship starts off magnificently, like all relationships do. You have nothing but beauty in your connection to that person. Every time you think about them, it's a beautiful sensation. Every time you're with them, the world disappears and only goodness arises. The nature of an unexamined human mind actually, it's an examination, is that things deteriorate in this world. That's what this world is. That's what samsara is. So there are forces at work reducing that. If we get complacent, if we don't recognize where that goodness came from in the first place, if we don't have wisdom towards that, we might be mistaken that that thing out there is making me happy, and then that thing out there is becoming neutral, and that thing out there is becoming normal, and that thing out there is becoming annoying, and the goodness slowly begins to erode. But you're still in union, in connection with that goodness. Yeah? 3 years in a relationship, 5 years in a relationship. And then one day they say something, maybe out of anger, and we respond with anger to anger. And in that one moment, they say something that hurts, and we want to hurt back. And we color that 1 3-minute, 2-minute yelling, screaming match, perceptual shift, we color the 5 years with that. She always thought that. How was I so blind not to see her that way, there and there and there and there and there and there and there? It removes you from accessing, in practical sense, yeah? In a practical, it's deeper than that too.
So crafty.
Yeah? You did have a moment where you're in complete bliss. In this moment, you just colored that with non-existence. This moment of anger did that to a past that already finished. Impossible, but you did it. Yeah. Okay, so Master Shantideva says, give the reasoning to demonstrate that we should cherish the opportunity which we get from practicing these deep realizations, Dharma, when we meet irritating people. So, do you remember the reasoning, he says? Why? Yeah. That was how we ended up last class.
So for Master Shantideva, these people are difficult to find. For us,
They're like,
that was
for
like-
Master Shantideva.
yeah, so he says like they're so difficult to find, and it's such a precious thing to find them because you can practice what you're learning.
So what's the rare opportunity?
The ability-
First of all, they're rare to find.
To
So what is
practice your morality.
How?
Well, by using patience.
Meaning
Right.
not getting angry,
Right.
right? Okay. Do you want to read the verse again, and then see if we can hear it? Yeah. 17. Yeah. So take your minds back to the year 7000 AD, 1300 years ago. These words were spoken.
The world may be full of beggars, but finding someone to do me harm is truly a rare occurrence. Since there never could be a person who hurt me any way at all if I did not them first. Suppose that without an ounce of effort you came across a treasure chest hidden in your house. You should thus feel grateful for your enemies, who aid you in your Bodhisattva practice. Since he and I both bring it about, it's fitting that from the outside itself, I devote to him the final result that comes from being patient. He has, in the way described, provided something for me to be patient about.
So what's the opportunity here?
It's the opportunity to make good karma as you practice patience, which is a virtue.
He's saying more than that. He says the final result, right? He's
He's saying dedicate the final result.
I can only be enlightened.
Oh, okay.
I can only ever get enlightened, really, if I have an opportunity to remove my irritation, which produces anger, which destroys good karma, right?
So you need assholes to get enlightened.
Exactly. If you don't have them, you won't know which part of you will be turned on to anger. Yeah? So to look at them and say, oh my goodness, I feel rage right now. You said the wrong thing to me. Here it comes. I can feel the heat. I can hear the words in my head, And if you've practiced, well, if you've done it in meditation, when you're in a good state of mind, not angry, you know that at that moment you interrupt that impulse with, I have to practice patience. The a-hole just became God for me. Because you must necessarily, he says, give them half of the credit for your enlightenment. Like, think about the future you that will become a Buddha, meaning free of all mental afflictions and emissions, right? If you could reach the goal, which is possible, we've gone through the logic, you can only get it because this person right here is just giving you the opportunity to remove from the storehouse of your shitty existence. Here it comes, and I've just learned how I can interrupt it to whatever capacity I can at the moment. It doesn't mean you have to be completely perfect and all of a sudden you decided and the world turns into everyone's your teacher. Yeah? No, that habituates as well. So here, the beginning, he's saying give them half the credit. There will never be a Hector Buddha that will not come from me removing every anger from my mind. I can only do that with annoying people. There is no Buddha me that could ever exist separate to me having removed the obstructions to that goodness through these creatures that are annoying to me. Yeah, and this is just one of the examples he gives as to why engage with them in a specific way. Yeah, and we get in so much turmoil about it, right? Because then I'm going to be abused, and then it becomes a vicious cycle, and then we have all this thinking. All I say about those objections that we have, and we've had them right throughout the course in every example he gives, is know that there is an answer, and know that there is a goodness behind it. It is possible to get past whatever objection you have. Yeah, it just might not be the way we initially engage. So, no. Don't be annoying. Go on.
Well, I'm giving you a gift.
Yeah.
Accept the gift, Hector. It reminds me of either the Deva or Asura realm where like you're experiencing so much pleasure that then you kind of fall into the storehouse of negative karma. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like
when you use up all the
right.
What reminds you of that?
This, because if we didn't experience annoying people or annoying situations, maybe life would be a little bit more like that. There wouldn't be an opportunity to practice and elevate, because there's that glass ceiling in that realm where like you're so high but you can't get higher because you're not practicing because everything's beautiful.
Yeah, and then it expires. Yeah. Okay, cool, I'll buy that. Thank you.
But you've also created the karma to put you in that place where you're creating the annoying people for you to practice.
Right.
Cool. Good. Is that good for everyone?
Sure.
Yep. Give them the gratitude. Thank you for being annoying. You provide the annoyance. I provide the patience. Yeah. And together we make Hector Buddha. Yeah. And you get half the credit. I dedicate. Thank you. Yeah. That's what that is. Okay. But Master Shantideva, like, he gets strong languaged about these things. It's not like grey area here for him. It's pretty black and white. There is no one that did not come from your projections, he's saying in that verse. There could never be anyone annoying out there separate from you. But this is a method to engage with them in a positive way. Give the scriptural reference. I don't know if you remember this one, and name the scripture from which it comes that demonstrates why we should respect living beings as we do the Buddhas themselves. Do you remember that? Sanghiti Sutra? Java Sanghiti Sutra? Yeah?
The Sutra of the Diamond.
No. The Banner Sutra was the other one. I'll read it to you. Actually, read the verse, and then which is verse 18, and then you'll remember.
This is why the Able One described the field of living beings and the field of the victorious. Many who succeeded in pleasing them were able in this way to reach the perfection of the ultimate. The qualities of an enlightened one are attained by means of living beings and the victorious Buddhas alike. Why then do you act this way, refusing to honor other beings in the way you do the victors?
Do you remember now?
I think it's because all the Buddhas come out of regular people.
Right, he says it's the same field through which you plant your seeds of goodness. Yeah? The field of Buddhas is the field of living beings. Okay? So I'll read it to you and you'll see. This field of living beings is the field of the Buddhas. And it is from this field of the Buddhas that we reach the fine qualities of the Buddhas. To do the opposite is very wrong. So in other words, it's saying the Buddhas are coming through every single experience you have. Once you've decided, once you've investigated this method, this path, and you understand the logic behind it, you understand that the world's coming from you. There is nothing out there, even though it doesn't feel that way. You understand every goodness is a virtue. Prana moving, the energies behind the way you then put name and form to these energies. The positive ones come from virtue, the negative ones come from misdeeds, from hurting others. Bottom line, once you've got that packed and you understand that it's possible to turn a mind that has obstructions, that has negativities, into a mind that is free of that, nirvana mind or Buddha mind, yeah? A mind that is free from negativity permanently. Once you understand the logic behind those things, you've investigated them enough, and you're into a practice of this, then you know that every single experience you're having is a projection caused by whatever is inside of you. And you don't choose that in the moment. If you're lucky, you have awareness enough to go, this is what's happening right now, or this is what it is right now. It is this right now. And it's coming from me. I don't like it much. To act in a negative way towards it makes more of it. Bummer. I really want to punch them in the face. You know, but I mean, that's coming from you. Don't deny it, yeah? But know that punching them in the face is just going to produce a multitude of that same experience over and over and over again without limit. So the wisest thing you could do is try a method to remove them permanently. Practice these things that they're teaching, this method to remove the negativity. It's just prana moving. It's just sensations. When you get down, 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 it's just sensations. And even then, there's something behind that. So to label those things the way you're labeling so quickly and then trying to catch them, you can only ever catch them a bit at a time, and you practice with what you can. Once you've got that down, then every living being, every situation, every sensation, internal or out, has something behind it that could be turned into virtue. Everything. There's nothing that doesn't have that. That's the nature of things being empty from their own side. You yourself, your mind as well. They are filled with infinite potential. It is this singular thing you're following, the annoying person or the happy relationship or the yummy vegan food. It's one thing we're following, right? And that's the projection. To focus on that point, you're missing the background. It could be any of these things. And those things are caused, just like this one was caused. Just doesn't appear caused. Once you get that down, then the field of living beings are indeed Buddhas. There's nothing that's not a Buddha. Now, to think of them as little Buddhas sitting down there might be weird. To think of a Buddha as an essence that has no suffering at all, that has complete understanding, total wisdom, and can lead you to freedom, that you can make work in a nominal Western way by saying, okay, by placing my mind on that, I'm actually creating the causes to experience that. I'm habituating that thinking, which instantly disrupts the anger or disappointment or attachment or whatever, and allows your mind to start being colored by that experience. Just in a nominal Western way of thinking, you can understand that. But it's deeper than that. Your life is actually that projection. And you're completely seeding your field of mind with, in this fertile field of humans, which aren't really humans. Yeah? They're all beings getting you somewhere. It's not normal to think that way. So you don't have a guide map with people on Instagram telling you, hey, did great virtue today, I met 6 Buddhas, right? You're a little alone in that. And it feels a bit lost, yeah? That's also a projection, that's also an experience. You can turn that sensation into a positive. Oh my God, I'm onto gold here. I can really help everyone with this. Everything is just a movement, and then you associate that movement to what you've learned when you're in a sane mind. You know, when you've been in front of a teacher or a teaching, or you've read a book, or you've done a magnificent meditation, or you've had an exchange and you're in the zone, and you know without a doubt you're onto something. Those moments of clarity about this thing is the moments you need to go back to when you want to punch them in the face. When you, like, that's what they're for you to return to them. They're your map points. What are they called? Your guideposts, things. Yeah. So, so anyway, sorry, I digress, right? So, serving every living being, right? And then at the end of that chapter, he says, what's the single highest method of repaying the kindness of the Buddha? So once you've tricked yourself into understanding that really every being could be a Buddha, and therefore you decide you make them a Buddha, an enlightened being, perfect beings, communicating to you, getting you to that perfect state of mind permanently. Once you've decided that, what's the best way for you to go? How can I repay them?
Offering them the good deeds that you practice.
Master Shantara says, just doing goodness. That's it. Just not getting angry, doing virtue.
Teaching?
Doing good to living beings is the single highest method, he says. Doing good to living beings. That's it. Doing good to living beings is the highest method you can do to repay their kindness.
I'm wondering if that's like the answer to the question I had, which is like, okay, when someone does something bad to you, it's an opportunity to practice. But what do you, maybe it's that, but when karma is good and something really good is coming up, and like, how do you supercharge that so it's also not just me like floating around like I'm so great and this thing is happening and I want that to also continue?
Yeah, cool. So what's the answer? No, excellent. It's dedicate. So when crappy things come up, so let's think of it in terms of energy moving, right? And then we label that energy really quickly through habit. We don't even know, right? But when you slow down in meditation, it's just a sensation shift. If you remove the label, it's just a sensation shift. Yeah? But the label comes really quickly. That's the impulse, right? The uncontrived association to a movement of energy in your body, in your mind, karma. When a negative thing happens, right, you grab that thing and you direct it to goodness, right? So that's the practice. We're all focused on that because we don't like the bad, okay? But we got that, right? Direct to goodness. When a positivity arises, it is also a projection, it is also a thing. So what do? You offer it, you give it away. Quickly, you just give it away, which means mentally imagining. Like, this is the way I've practiced doing it for me, right? It's a thing we don't normally think about, so thank you for the question, right? You need to keep that one rolling too and expanding, yeah? So whenever a magnificent goodness comes, I instantly, it's like I imagine a rain of this very sensation. Every drop in that rain is filled with the essence of what I just felt, and it lands on every single being on the planet, yeah? In the form of realizations for them. Whatever struggles they're going through, whatever thing they're sitting in front of, and I have this weird mental image that I've habituated of people sitting at their desk, watching stupid things on YouTube, and people talking to their friends, people at hospitals, people that have been falling in love. Every activity on the planet, and in that moment, something interrupts them, and they go, "Oh, I just saw bliss here." Yeah, raindrops upon it. Give it away. Yeah? And then if it's a really magnificent thing, then concentrate it. You know, don't tell anyone because it keeps it tight, which keeps it strong, and then give it to the highest being you can. Dedicate it. Give it away. It's the biggest way to keep it going. So then we've got crappy things, you turn into goodness and you purify. Yeah? Purify and turn. Good things, you dedicate. What about normal things? What about neutral things? What do you do with neutral things? Because the majority of our day is spent on a robot.
Make them good.
Color them?
Yeah.